I'll cheat on you. When we decided to get married, my fiancé said this to me. I might be called foolish for not breaking up with him after he said such a thing a while ago. But I really wanted to get married, no matter what. I've had my share of hardships because of it, but I don't regret it. My name is Anne, I'm 45 years old and currently single, actually divorced twice. My first marriage was when I was 26, but after 2 years of marriage, I couldn't get pregnant, and it turned out the problem was with me. Even after treatment, I was told my chances of getting pregnant were only 10% to 20%. My husband, who loved kids, was terribly disappointed, and 6 months after that diagnosis, he asked for a divorce. The shock of potentially not being able to have children had not yet faded, and the word a divorce felt like a death sentence to me. I begged, saying I wanted to try for the slim chance, willing to undergo treatment. Divorce him, don't you dare make our son unhappy. But even my in-laws came to me. So, with a heavy heart, I divorced. A year later, still not over it, Michael from my work approached me. He was one of the top 3 salespeople, handsome, and naturally popular with the female staff, but to me, he was from a different world. Moreover, I felt I shouldn't get involved with men, so I never took a special interest in him. However, my attitude seemed to pique Michael's interest. Eventually, worn down by his experienced approach, we started dating a few months later. But to Michael, I was just one of many, and even while we were dating, there were always other women in the picture. I was about to end it, realizing it was a fruitless relationship, when I found out I was pregnant. The surprise and joy I felt at that moment. I doubted it several times, wondering if it was a lie or a dream. Even with the hospital's confirmation, I bought a pregnancy test kit to recheck. I was going to be a mother. The thought brought me to tears. But once I calmed down, I started worrying about what to do next. Abortion was out of the question, but how was I going to raise this child? There are various supports for single mothers, but I was overwhelmed with doubts about whether I could do it on my own. I thought about discussing it with Michael, but I was sure he'd say he didn't want the child or suggest breaking up. Having no friends to talk to about such things, I eventually reached out to my brother. He was in his 3rd year of marriage, enjoying life with his wife while living with our parents. He was overjoyed to hear about my pregnancy. If anything happens, we'll support you, so go ahead and have the baby. He said so. Encouraged by his words, I finally mustered the courage to tell Michael when he came to my apartment. He was silent for a while. Is it a boy or a girl? He asked. I don't know yet, but around the 17th week, we should know. I replied. Oh, I see. I would have preferred a boy, but a girl's fine. We can always have a son-in-law, he mumbled. Then he asked out of the blue. So, and, do you want to marry me? He asked me suddenly. I replied, of course, it's definitely better for a child to have a father. When I answered with a pounding heart, Michael had a few words to say. All right, let's get married. He said. Really? Are you sure? I was surprised. And then, Michael dropped another bombshell. I'll marry you, but I'm going to cheat. I was stunned by his words. If you don't like that, then no marriage. I won't acknowledge the child either. With those cold eyes fixed on me, I was so shocked I couldn't speak, and he just left, leaving me there. Panicking, I thought about many things. Michael doesn't love me, I'm just convenient for him, and he'll never stop playing around with other women. But a child needs a father, and I'm not confident about being a single mother. These thoughts raced through my mind, making it hard to decide. But this child is a miracle. I want to make this child happier than anyone else. I no longer love Michael, but a father is still better for a child. I don't know what the future holds, but I'll take a chance on this marriage. With that resolve, I remarried Michael at 34. Just as he declared, Michael's affairs never ceased. Though I was prepared, I sometimes expressed dissatisfaction with him, even after our daughter Lily was born, as he never changed his ways. He would always get furious. You should be grateful I married a trashy woman like you. Just shut up and take care of the kid. He would shout, sometimes even becoming violent. The bullying from my in-laws, especially my mother-in-law, was also terrible. Initially, she was happy about the marriage when she learned her son, who was always womanizing and not serious about marriage, was going to have a child. However, it seems she grew to dislike me more and more, as I was neither from a good family nor particularly beautiful. She criticized everything I did, from my poor cooking skills to my lackluster cleaning. And when I gave birth to a girl, the bullying reached its peak. She even came to the maternity hospital and yelled, "Unbelievable. You gave birth to a girl, deceiving us. You can't have more kids, right? Just leave." She yelled. I was stunned and replied, "But Michael said he was fine with a girl." Well, if she had turned out to be a beauty like Michael, we could have married her off to some rich guy. But who would have thought you'd give birth to such an ugly child? I couldn't believe her words and looked at Michael. Then he said unbelievably things. "Yes, she's super ugly and looks nothing like me. You sure you didn't cheat, Anne?" He said this casually. "There's no way. I'm willing to do a DNA test." I shouted. Divorce is always welcome. As for alimony and child support, let's call it even since you gave birth to such an ugly child. Michael said something unbelievable. I married him to make my child Lily happy. Because I thought a child needs a father. These thoughts swirled in my mind. But as I thought in my confused state, I began to doubt if Lily would be happy with such a father and grandparents. I was anxious about raising her alone and clung to Michael, but there are many women out there bravely raising their children as single mothers. Even my brother and his wife said they would help. And you lack courage. I scolded myself and decided to get a divorce. As I researched, I found out that if I took Lily and sued, Michael would be obligated to pay child support. If he didn't pay, his wages could be garnished. When I emailed this to Michael, after talking with his parents, the situation suddenly changed a few hours later. "We won't get a divorce," came the reply from Michael. I thought he was worried about his company finding out, but then his mother called me. "After thinking about it, you're like a free housekeeper for us. It's much more beneficial to keep you than to let you go. We can have the heir to our family from one of Michael's mistresses." She said this, laughing heartily. I don't need to be loyal to such a family. With a firm decision, I started to record the emotional abuse from my husband and his family, bit by bit. Then, just when I had gathered substantial evidence and was thinking of consulting a lawyer, Michael suddenly passed away 3 years into our marriage. When I was informed that he died during an affair, in a truly embarrassing way, his parents went almost insane, but I couldn't help but laugh. "What's so funny? This is all your fault." "Huh? How is it my fault?" "You're a failure, that's why Michael cheated. His cheating was a chronic issue, not my fault. He had affairs with many women even before we got married." "Shut up. It's because you didn't take care of Michael's health that he had a heart attack." "What health care? He barely came home." I was surprisingly strong. "I'll fight to the end to protect myself and my daughter." Perhaps because of such exchanges, I wasn't allowed to attend the wake or the funeral. During the funeral, the in-laws were bad-mouthing me to the relatives, but it was they who received cold stares, as the news of Michael's embarrassing death had leaked. While I rested at home during the funeral, my brother emailed me. "I need to discuss something. Can you contact me after the funeral?" He knew about the treatment I received from Michael and his family and disliked them, so he didn't attend the funeral. When I called him immediately, he was outraged that I was barred from the funeral and made a proposal for the sake of me and my child. A few days after the funeral, I started packing my room and preparing to return to my parents' house. I also filed a termination of the marriage kinship document to cut ties with my in-laws. Unaware of this, my mother-in-law ordered me to do thank you visits and write letters of thanks to the funeral attendees. It's ridiculous for someone who didn't attend the funeral to make thank you visits. It would make your family a laughingstock. I ignored her. Also ignored the funeral home's payment. Then, a few days later, I left with my daughter to my parents' house without telling anyone. The next day, my furious mother-in-law called. "Where are you right now?" "At my parents' house." "I've already moved my stuff in, so I won't be returning there." "What nonsense are you talking about? From now on, you're supposed to take care of us." I knew she had been having trouble with her legs recently, but to think she'd expect me to care for her after all the bullying was unbelievable. I've already completed the procedures, and we are now strangers to your family. Whatever happens to you in the future is none of my concern." Then, she shrieked over the phone. "That's not unrelated. What about his inheritance?" "His inheritance? Of course, all the assets built during our marriage go to me. It's the law. If you have any objections, feel free to take it to court." After saying that, my mother-in-law slammed the phone. I couldn't help but smile, feeling I had finally retaliated. However, about 6 months later, apparently advised by someone, she called again. "Don't get too comfortable. Lily has a duty to take care of us." "No, she doesn't. It's the law. Lily and us are blood relatives, she has to care for us in our old age. Return Lily to us immediately." She was confident. But she was speechless at my next words. "There is no such duty. Lily is no longer related to you by blood." In fact, Lily had become the special adoptive child of my brother and his wife. Special adoption means completely severing ties with the original parents and relatives, becoming the child of the new parents. My sister-in-law, who had the same condition as me and couldn't have children, pleaded to adopt Lily as their special child. After about 6 months of custody, Lily recently became their child. It was really hard to let go of precious Lily. But if I didn't, I could see you tying her down and making her unhappy in the future. That's why I accepted my brother and his wife's strong wish. "You are horrible," my mother-in-law screamed. No wonder, as Michael was their only child, and with their declining health, they now had no one close to take care of them. "You won't be bothered by us anymore, so please enjoy your retirement with your husband," I said and hung up. I don't regret my decision. Before the adoption, I had divided Michael's inheritance for Lily. She was 3 then and is now 11, growing up healthily with my brother as her father and my sister-in-law as her mother. I sometimes visit my parents' house and interact with Lily as her aunt, and that's enough for me to be happy.